10 centimeters dilated.
Yep.
They could already see baby's head. So when the doctor comes, we're gonna start pushing. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's an exciting video because we are finally doing the birth story video. I've been holding off on doing this video because I wanted to do a good job. Thankfully, everything from my birth has been documented. If you are new, my name is Isome. Make sure you subscribe and let's get right into the video. As you see by the title of this video, this is a positive birth story because I couldn't have imagined my birth story going any better, and I think it was because I went into birth with a plan, but also my expectations were to go with the flow and that it was going to be a positive experience and that I was made for this and whatever happens happens, but everything would be okay. I'm reading it from my phone because everything was documented. Sunday, April 6th, my mom was making us food. We were having spaghetti and meatballs. I told everyone, I was like, I want spaghetti and meatballs because this is probably gonna be my last meal before I give birth to baby Romy. And in fact, it was. We were on the couch and watching Squid Games, and I was sitting up on the couch like this, but then I wanted to get in a more comfortable position. So I laid on my left side on my husband, and within a few minutes, I felt this water balloon pop inside of me. That's what I could describe it. It didn't hurt, so my water broke and it just felt like a water balloon. And so I didn't want to freak everyone out or anything, so I just kept it to myself. Casually got up. I was like, you know, it wasn't like a huge gush of water, just like a little bit, but I got up, made my way to the bathroom, sat on the toilet, and then everything, like a bunch of water from the amniotic fluid just started coming out. And then I called my husband. I'm like, Roman, he came, and I'm like, my water broke. And he's like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I looked in the toilet, and okay, disclaimer, this video is gonna get TMI, so if you are, you know, queasy when it comes to anything, you know, birth, this is not the video for you. But we looked in the water and it was the color of meconium, which is pretty much baby poop. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's my water. Like, pee does not look like this. And I distinctly remember that feeling of my water breaking. It was pretty cool. My water broke around 8:45 p.m. and my midwife said, if your water breaks, just go directly to the hospital. So that's what we did. We went to the hospital, checked into the emergency room, and then while we were being triaged, they were checking how dilated I was. I was 1 centimeter dilated, absolutely no pain, pretty much no I was feeling like I was in pre-labor for the past few days because I remember losing like a piece of my mucus plug and then all of my mucus plug, and then I would get contractions or Braxton Hicks, I guess, but they just felt like mild period cramps and they were totally doable. So at this point when we were in triage or getting triaged in the emergency room, it just felt like mild period cramps, so I could handle that. Okay, it is what time?
9:20.
9:20. Water broke at 8:45 probably.
Yep.
I'm just leaking amniotic fluid on the hospital bed, waiting for the nurse to come and check me to see how dilated I am. So yeah, no updates. So we got to the hospital around 9:15, and around 9:30 p.m. the doctor checked me, as I said before, and I was 1.5 centimeters dilated. Felt like period cramps. I was like, wow, birth is gonna be a piece of cake. It was not, but after that I got moved to a labor and delivery room, and contractions started every 5 minutes or so, and they lasted about 1 minute. Just before midnight, we decided to progress my contractions to get them closer together so I would dilate quicker as well. And to do that, we used a breast pump, and that really helped my contractions start like coming quicker, harder, and it was, I'm not gonna lie, like it was pretty painful. And I did that up till about 4 centimeters. The notes here says, just before midnight, I tried breast pump to produce oxytocin to help my contractions come faster. Nurse Jessica, shout out Nurse Jessica, she was so sweet, said to try for an hour, for every hour for about 10 minutes, and it definitely quickened my contractions. So at 1 a.m. I was checked and I was 3 centimeters dilated, and it was pretty painful. And so at that point I was like, okay, I want to try some laughing gas. And no one told me that laughing gas was gonna be as tense as it was. So when you're in like pain, a painful state like that, and they gave you the laughing gas, I just was like I was breathing that in, and I took way too much that first puff because I was just trying to like, okay, I need this pain over, I need this pain over. So I breathed it in and it was too much, and I kid you not, I was about to black out. Like I had to close my eyes because my eyes were gonna be rolling in the back of my head. I was about to black out. So I was just, after that, I was like, oh no, I took too much. I was breathing in oxygen as much as I could. I was like holding the laughing gas, but I was like breathing in oxygen just to like, you know, get that laughing gas out of my system as much as possible. I was also using a peanut ball as per the suggestion of Nurse Jessica to help my dilation progress and contractions, you know, get closer together and stronger. At around 2:20 a.m., I was at 4 centimeters. I went into the hospital thinking, okay, I'm gonna try doing as natural as much as possible. Not natural, like all birth is natural, but like I'm gonna try going unmedicated for as long as possible. And I am not, what is the word? I'm not opposed to having an epidural if I need one. So at 4 centimeters, I told my husband my safe word, and I was like, I want an epidural. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, our safe word, yes, I want an epidural at 4 centimeters. And that is when the anesthesiologist came in, bless his heart. I forgot his name, but he deserves every last penny he earns from his job, because that epidural, chef's kiss. It made my experience, I honestly could say 10 out of 10. Like if all my births could go this way, the way it progressed, like water breaking, blah, 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 like I'd be glad to do it again, or multiple times, which is the plan, but we'll see. I knew in my heart, I'm just like, okay, if I go any longer, I don't know if I'll be able to sit still long enough to get an epidural. So I'd rather get it now than regret not getting it and then not being able to get it because I can't sit still. I got my epidural around 3:15 a.m. Bless his heart. I didn't see the needle or anything. The only part that hurt, like a 3 out of 10, like, okay guys, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but the pain was not as bad as 4 centimeters dilated. So I consider the pain of the initial numbing needle like a 1.5 out of 10. And then after that, when they put the actual big epidural needle into your spine and stuff with the tube, it didn't hurt at all because there's numbing around that area. I just felt the pressure. So they made me have my back into like a C shape, and I was like curled over, and my husband was supporting me on this side, making sure like I could hold still. And I was telling them, okay, a contraction's coming. And so they'd stop their work. We'd wait for the contraction to be over, and then they'd, you know, continue with the epidural. And it, not gonna lie, the pressure of it going in my back, that was a little bit jarring. I definitely had to breathe through it, but it was not as painful as 4 centimeters dilated. So if you were scared to get an epidural, like, it is definitely doable, especially if you have a support person like I did holding you on the other side. And I'm sure if you don't, you know, the nurses are there. So after the epidural, it felt like my legs were going a little numb, a little tingly. And then at some point I wasn't able to move my feet, my legs. I couldn't feel anything from my waist down, which was a dream because each time the contractions came, I felt nothing. But I knew I was having a contraction because I could look at the screen and I could see like the waves of how long they were, that kind of thing. And so at that point I had the peanut ball in between my legs, and I was using the breast pump just to make my contractions closer together. And then another nurse came on and she was just like, hey, so to make your contractions stronger and faster, I suggest you take some Pitocin. And that was one of the things that I wanted to avoid in my birth plan. I didn't want to take Pitocin. And so she was like, okay, but we need to get these contractions, you know, closer together and stronger. You know, so because the epidural does slow down labor, I guess. And then my husband, bless his heart, he remembered. He was like, can't she just use the breast pump? Won't that help her dilate faster and have the contractions be stronger? And then the nurse, she got not a little attitudey, but she was like, yeah, we can try that. As in, like, she would rather Pitocin, but we did do the breast pump and that worked magic. Like, I started dilating faster again and my contractions were stronger and longer, which we could see on the chart, which allowed me not to take Pitocin, which I'm so glad my husband remembered that, because I was in labor, and when you're in labor, even if you have the epidural, you're there, but like you're not like thinking critically. At least I wasn't. And so it was nice to have my husband there to be like, okay, here's another option. I'm gonna insert pictures and videos. This is a cute picture my mom took of my husband and I. So at 4:36 a.m., the nurse checked me and I was now 6 centimeters dilated. So I was 4 centimeters. I took a nice long nap. I was just sleeping through the contractions, and I woke up around 4:30 and I was 6 centimeters dilated, which means I was progressing very nicely, and they wanted to see that. I wanted to see that, and it was painless. So I was super happy that the epidural was working and the breast pump worked as well, so I could avoid the Pitocin. Took a long nap, woke up 5 hours later. They checked me and I was 10 centimeters dilated. I was like, wow, isn't this the dream? Taking a few naps during labor, no pain, and I just woke up 10 centimeters dilated and we were ready to push. Like, they looked at me and they're like, yeah, we could see his head. So I was like, that was great. They could see his head, we could start pushing. Wrong. So it took a while, actually. I'm not sure why. I think they told me like there was something else happening on that floor, or I don't know if they were understaffed or they just weren't ready for me yet. But other nurses and, you know, labor delivery people were busy, so I ended up waiting for like 30-40 minutes at 10 centimeters dilated. And I thought once you reach 10 centimeters dilated, you gotta start pushing ASAP, which wasn't the case. I don't think they were in a rush to help me deliver because I was in extreme pain, and maybe there were other patients on my floor that needed more assistance, but I was waiting to push, and I was like, okay, 10 centimeters dilated, it could be any time now. They also let me know that NICU would be at my labor just in case my baby needed support, because there was meconium when my water broke, as I said in the beginning, which means the baby had a bowel movement while he was in my stomach. So they were gonna be there just in case he needs more suction and to make sure he didn't take in any of the secretion. I also forgot to mention, before I did the epidural, my body would go through the shakes. I was a little cold, but I covered myself in my blanket, my robe, whatever, I was warming up, but I'd still have the shakes because of just, if you look it up, labor shakes, it's a common thing, but your body like is shivering so much. And so I had that, got the epidural, and then that went away. And then I started pushing around 9 a.m. And about 9:50, I started using the breast pump again to encourage oxytocin for contractions to come faster and more frequent. And that was also a lifesaver. And so I thought I was pushing for a long time. But apparently I wasn't, but I started pushing around 9 a.m. and it was just the labor delivery nurse and the nursing student, and we tried a few positions. Obviously, I wanted to give birth in certain positions, but that didn't happen. We were just trying, you know, lying on the back for now. And I was like, I really don't want to tear. Can we try like a side lying position? They're like, okay, well, let's try other positions first, and then we'll try side lying if you're not progressing. So I was like, okay, whatever, like, we'll do it. So I was just laying on my back. It wasn't working the greatest. Then they brought the squat bar and then tied a blanket towel rope situation on the squat bar. And I was laying like this on my back, holding the squat bar. And like when I was pushing, I would pull towards myself, and that would help me push the baby out. And so we did that until the baby was pretty much crowning. By the way, you guys, during this whole process, my labor and delivery nurse, she was working that area out to prevent tearing. So she'd like pour some mineral oil and just like work that area, like massage it and help it expand. So I didn't feel any of that. If I did, like if I didn't have the epidural, I'm sure it would be excruciating. But since I had the epidural, she was working that area to prevent tearing. And I mean, it worked. I barely teared. I think I had one small tear, and that was it. So bless her heart for that. What I didn't know though is you're not gonna have the doctor who's gonna be delivering your baby in the room the whole time you're pushing. So basically I had the delivery nurse and the nursing student in the room while I was progressing. And once the baby was literally about to come out, well, pretty much ready to come out and crowning, that's when they called the doctor, the NICU team, the other labor and delivery personnel. And so then the room was crowded when baby was right about to come out, which was amazing. And so she went to go get them. Another contraction came while the nurse was getting all the other personnel, and my husband's like, should you push now? And I'm like, no, let's wait for everyone to get here. And the nursing student was like, yeah, definitely wait. And so we waited, the room got crowded, and then I was pushing, and it was nice. I had a big mirror. They put a big mirror so I could see everything that was happening. Initially I was like, oh, I don't want to see it. But then the doctor was like, honestly, or the nurse said, honestly, since you have the epidural, it's nice to see, you know, your progression because you can't feel anything down there. And that was really good advice. Like, I don't get too queasy and stuff like that with blood or whatever. So seeing that, like seeing what was going on down there in the mirror was really helpful for me. And encouragement, this, like when you're in labor, whatever you tell yourself that works, do it. For me, I just kept telling myself over and over again, like, I'm an athlete. And so when I would push, it wouldn't hurt. I would get little crampings a little bit, like a little above my waist, but I would get a little cramping and I'm like, I'm an athlete, I'm an athlete. And I think that's like one of the biggest reasons why apparently my pushing didn't take long, because I just had those words of encouragement. Some people like affirmation, some people like, you know, talking out loud, but in my mind, I was just encouraging myself like, girl, you're an athlete. You can do this. And so that went on. I gave birth at 10:26 a.m. I didn't see the baby come out just because the labor delivery doctor, she was blocking the mirror, but I was like, I didn't care. I was just like, let's get this baby out healthy and strong. We good. The baby was born at 10:26 a.m. He was 8 pounds, 3 ounces, and around 20 to 21 inches long. And I had my husband cut the umbilical cord, which was really nice. I started crying, my mom was crying, my husband was crying. Like, it was just a very beautiful moment to share with them. And the baby, when I pushed out, baby Romy was crying, like he was scream crying. But then once they put him on my chest, he immediately calmed down, and it was like the best feeling ever. And I was crying too, not because it was painful at all, just because I was like, wow, like I can't believe it's over, but I can't believe this is happening. And it's just an amazing moment that you can't explain. I was just like, wow, this is so amazing. I feel so lucky, so blessed. I have so much gratitude. Like, it was shocking. It was like something altered in my brain, and I felt like it was like an out-of-body experience, and it was so amazing. My husband cut the umbilical cord. We have a picture of that, but I won't show it. I don't know what I'll show. We'll see. But yes, baby was born healthy and strong. The NICU team checked him over to make sure he didn't take in any of the secretions. He was totally fine. They weighed him, measured him, then put him on my chest. We decided not to do the bath or anything. And so he was just chilling, doing skin to skin with me for a while. We just chilled in the labor and delivery room for, I forgot how long, maybe an hour, 2 hours. And then they moved me to the postpartum area on a different floor. But it was such a good experience all in all. Once we got to the postpartum section of the hospital, they finally gave me some food. And to be honest, people are like, eat before you go. I was eating like I was bulking before a track race. And so when I was giving birth, I didn't feel exhausted at all, you know, and I wasn't hungry. Like, I was in so much pain, and then I felt no pain, but I knew my body was progressing and I wasn't hungry. Oh, I forgot to mention, I don't know if I should mention this, but even though I couldn't feel anything during birth, my body knew I was in excruciating pain, and I did feel nauseous, and I did throw up like maybe 5 minutes before the baby actually came out while I was pushing. Like, my body knew I was in pain, and I was in so much pain, I threw up. I just couldn't feel it. So I forgot to mention that little portion. Chilled there, had food. The nurses made me a mommy mocktail, which is like ginger ale, cranberry, apple, and orange juice, I think it was. It was super good and hydrating after only eating ice for hours. So all in all, my labor was from 8:45. I'm gonna go from when my water broke. So 8:45 p.m. on Sunday till 10:26 a.m. on Monday the next day. And then I pushed for an hour and baby was out. It was such a great experience, so life-changing, and we thank God that we have baby Romy in our lives. He's such a blessing. It has been interesting. The newborn stage has been hard, but so fulfilling at the same time. And when it comes to moms who are about to give birth or future moms, I just want to encourage you, you know, you were made for this. All birth is a natural birth, whether you choose to have a medicated or unmedicated birth, whatever it may be, you know, it is so worth it in the end. And go in with a positive mindset, with the expectation of you're gonna go with the flow and go with what your body says, you know, like go with what your gut says and what you think is best for your body, because you can go in with no plan or a laminated plan like I did, and birth can go any which way. So I'm so grateful that my birth experience, my first baby, was such a positive experience that I wish everyone could experience. And I mean, I'm not ready to have a baby and get pregnant again right now, but I'm not opposed from it in the future. And I just wish that people would share more of their positive birth stories. I know we hear a lot of the traumatic ones, and those do happen. And like, props to those women who go through the ringer giving birth and still come out, you know, with a positive mindset, strong, and they want to give birth again. If you are pregnant right now, I would also say fill your mind with positive birth stories. Speak that into existence for yourself. And I think, I'm not saying that was the whole reason why I had a good labor and delivery. Like, obviously I give credit to God 100%, because things could have gone any which way. So, but I would say a positive mindset and a good attitude does help. You know your body best. Don't feel pressure to do anything that you don't feel like is right for you, and everything will work out. Comment down below if you're pregnant or expecting. I really want to know. Best wishes to those who are expecting soon. If you like this video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We are going to be posting more of the postpartum journey as our pregnancy journey with baby number 1 has come to an end. I'm so excited to share the rest of parenthood with you guys on my YouTube channel. We are past 3,000 subscribers, which is crazy and wild. Thank you guys so much for the love and support. April 7, 2025 was the day our lives changed forever. It was the day we became parents, and the day that our beautiful baby Romy was born into this world. We thank God every day for his presence in our life and guiding us and giving us wisdom on how to be the best parents for our little one. And I just hope and pray that all of you watching have a positive mindset when it comes to having a baby, if you want one, and I wish you the smoothest labor and delivery if you are expecting. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. The baby's ready to come. 10 centimeters dilated. Can't feel my legs at all. Had the best sleep of my life. Woke up 10 centimeters dilated and ready to go. What can I ask for anymore? How can I ask for any more?
That's right.
Cheers.